For my biome, I did the arid desert, which is described as any area that gets 10 or less inches of precipitation annually, and that precipitation is almost always rain, and every once in a while there will be snow or hail, but it's extremely rare and only happens in the colder months. They're always found along the equator, and it's extremely dry with very few landforms, so it's almost completely flat and about sea level. And it's comprised of sand and rocks. And because there's very little precipitation and there's very little chemical erosion, the only erosion happens from wind. But because there's few landscapes, the wind is able to gain extremely high speeds and erode the areas. Then every once in a while there will be an oasis, which is one of the few ways for animals or plants to find water, and it's where an aquifer comes up to the top to create a small lake, and it's usually surrounded by trees and quite a few different plants and animals and stuff like that. So because it has very little cloud cover and extremely low humidity, all the heat is able to escape during the night. So in the daytime it's usually around 49 degrees Celsius, but at the night it drops all the way down to 18 degrees Celsius, sometimes even getting into negative 18, which can make it very difficult for creatures to survive without a shelter. So the animals are all pretty small. There's a lot of reptiles, mammals, insects, and birds. There's not really amphibians or fish due to the lack of water. And they usually hide out in burrows during the day and come out to bask and eat insects and things like that during the night, as it's a lot cooler and they're able to survive. And plants are usually low to the ground, such as shrubs, grasses. There's a few trees, but they're all fairly skinny and short, and they have evolved to limit evaporation. Then the keystone species is termites, as they build giant mounds, which can provide shelter for animals, and because they also tunnel into the ground, they can hit the aquifers and allow water to come up into the soil. And termites also get rid of a plant called spinifex, which it's kind of like the weed of the desert that no animals can really eat it. It takes a lot of nutrients that other creatures would need. And then humans have created a few problems in the desert, not as bad as other biomes, but they've drilled and a lot of oil and things like that, which causes pollution. And then also global warming causes a lot of heat in the atmosphere, which makes it even warmer in the desert. And then they've also overhunted quite a few animals inside of the semi-arid desert. And then in the energy pyramid, at the bottom we have the producers, obviously, and then next is mostly the mammals and the herbivore birds and reptiles, and then you have the rest of the reptiles and birds, and then at the very top you have hawks and foxes are the third level consumers, and that's their desert.